If you're a fan of slasher horror movies, you've probably already watched this fantastic remake of a classic. Terrifier 2 hit theaters in October, and fans were so happy to finally have a sequel that is even better than the first one. In today's video, we'll discuss what the King of Horror, aka Mr. Stephen King, thinks of the movie and how it's the perfect sequel. Let's get into it, guys. First off, the King sort of liked it. Even though his review of the movie didn't have a lot of good things to say, the famous horror writer nailed down the thing that made the slasher sequel a huge hit. The second movie in the series breaks all kinds of box office records. Even though it only cost $250,000, the sequel has already made over $10 million at the domestic box office and isn't slowing down. Well, what's scarier than a killer clown? In a post on social media, the great author praised Art the Clown's new movie by giving a short list of the movie's best qualities. He claimed that the film was perfect to gross out viewers old-school style. He explained the importance of disgusting viewers and readers in another publication. He claimed it's an excellent way to get under their skin and freak them out. Even though King thinks fear and terror are more noble and worthwhile goals for horror genre artists, he admits that the gross-out genre also has a place at the table. Well, with the massive success of the movie, it makes sense. Now for the writer's take on gross-out horror. The author's non-fiction book, Danse Macabre, is a must-read for all horror fanatics. The King of Horror explains all the essential things about the genre. He believes that horror is a unique feeling of unknown, overwhelming fear. Well, if you've read anything he's written or any adaptation of his work, he knows what he's talking about. The little pale girl from the sequel meets the writer's requirements for a scary villain because she has a mysterious past and stays away from Art the Clown's cruel antics. The film's secondary villain is creepy, especially since she doesn't participate in the gory violence but stands creepily in the background. Fans of the movie know that the main attraction is, and forever will be, Art the Clown. The slasher's creepiness has nothing to do with subtlety or abstraction. It's very in-your-face horror that you just can't escape. Here, his analysis of the genre comes in handy. After explaining the difference between terror and horror, the author states that he doesn't mind gross-out stories when neither terror nor horror hits the spot. He agrees that gross-out movies filled with pure gore, body horror, and brutal shocks have a place in the world. Since the rise of the so-called elevated horror movement, gross-out horror hasn't been as popular as it once was. That's what makes this sequel's success such a surprise. Coming up, he was right about the movie's appeal. The sequel has scary and gross elements, but the gore is more critical to the story. Even though it's creepy, the movie isn't nearly as sad as the first one. Instead, it focuses more on shocking viewers with funny gore. All the murder sequences in the first movie were realistic and super violent. This one changes that up a bit. People were tortured and cut up in the entire first film, but in Terrifier 2, trick-or-treaters don't seem to notice as they eat candy from a severed human head. Is that what qualifies as comedy? Its success can be explained by how rare this gross-out horror is. It mixes shock value, dark comedy, and significant effects to create a scary but funny setting. You would think horror and comedy don't go together, but obviously they work. Even though they make a lot of money, the horror movies of 2022 are a mix of dramatic psychological horrors and goofier, more self-aware films. The main idea behind elevated horror still dramatically impacts the genre. Even big-budget movies like Halloween Ends and Smile, about characters who keep getting worse and worse, spend most of their time on character studies. This movie gained popularity because it offered viewers something different. Looking at the success of other recent movies from the genre like Barbarian, you can see a trend. Fans of the slasher genre are flocking to see Terrifier 2 because, like Barbarian, it is bringing back the gore that they missed. Now, let's look at how this sequel is the Terminator 2 of slasher movies. In the world of bad sequels, it's always fresh air when you see one that doesn't make you want to rip your eyes out or cry in the bathroom. When it comes to scary movies, a lot of people prefer slashers. That might say something about how we've been desensitized to violence, but it's okay. Compared to classic or elevated horror, the killing is bloodier, the language is sillier, and the story is often on the verge of being unbelievable. The OG film was a pretty good movie from 2016, but it's not a cult favorite. Still, Damien Leone took it upon himself to spearhead its sequel. It was praised for its engaging storyline, developed characters, and senseless violence. We can put this sequel on the shelf next to The Empire Strikes Back, The Dark Knight, and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Up next, it's funny, but art can scare the pants off of you. The most iconic sequel of all time, Terminator 2, has a humorous side because John Connor and the T-800 talk to each other, and Arnold Schwarzenegger says some memorable one-liners. In Terrifier 2, there are a lot of scary deaths, but there are also a few funny ones. Art the Clown makes people laugh when they should be scared. In one scene, Sienna Shaw waits in line at a Halloween costume store as Art watches her from afar and playfully taunts her while she waits for the cashier to return. That sounds creepy. It looked weird, but somehow it was funny too. The killer clown is a silent character who never fails to make people laugh just by how he looks and acts. Well, of course, up until he straight up murders them. We love that the clown kills without discrimination. It's 2000 2022, guys. That's called inclusivity. Some of the scariest parts of the movie are when Art goes after Sienna's younger brother Jonathan, who will weirdly remind you of John Connor. In a twist that fits the clown's character as a predator, the little brother is used as bait to lure the girl. The freakiest part of the movie was when he started eating her little brother right in front of her. That's not something that you can forget. What's more, the film is unsettling, but you just can't look away. The best and worst thing about the slasher is that it gets under your skin for the same reasons that the Terminator movies do. There are so many deaths, no one is safe, and the bad guys just keep coming. The movie has several sad deaths, but Allie's vicious murder stands out. Art watches her from a distance and then breaks into her house to kill her quickly. The scene was hard to watch because it was incredibly graphic, and we liked her. It was unexpected because she was smart and was the voice of reason in a group of dumb teenagers. She was someone you want to stand up for, which makes it almost impossible to watch Art the Clown pick her apart. The movie has one more twist up its sleeve. What's scarier than a killer clown? Two killer clowns. The new bad guy is the little pale girl, who is just as scary as the OG clown. Even though she doesn't kill anyone herself, her creepy behavior makes her presence very unsettling. We don't know much about her besides that she follows Art the Clown on his rampage. When our final girl finally kills the murderous clown, the little pale girl picks up his body and gives a threatening smile to everyone. Is that a setup for a third part? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Lastly, we finally got a final girl that we can root for. At least half of those who watch slasher movies do so because of the final girl. It's satisfying to see a murderous character do his thing for an entire film, but be defeated at the end by a strong woman that we were rooting for from the start. Many of the original film's problems can be traced back to the one-dimensional characters who always make bad decisions. This one fixes that problem by introducing Sienna Shaw, who turned out to be the ultimate heroine of the series. She is everything horror movie fans want from a final girl. She's strong and brave and wants to protect those she cares about more than herself. We cannot help but root for her because she's willing to do heroic things to ensure her younger brother is safe. After the killer clown hurts her family and friends, she avenges them in the most satisfying way possible. We'll go as far as to say that she's the Sarah Connor of Terrifier 2. That's a wrap for this video. Do you want to know more about the fantastic sequel to the Terrifier movie? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.